need a saying. Come quench my thirst, Lord, because you're like water for the thirsty. I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink. Water for the thirsty. I drink.
It's like water for the thirsty. Truthfully, our souls parched. You will find them when you seek them with your whole heart. It's so hard to stay consistent through the word I'm reading. Cause the time is coming soon when every eye gon' see him in the clouds above. This is about a love that quenches the thirst, but the world offers is not enough. Taste and see from this fountain spring, you'll be lining up to get a drink, refreshing ink flowing out of cups. This life they gotta touch, you liberate them out of cuffs. The faith is undivided trust, created us up out of dust. He's worthy of fresh well of living water for the thirsty. Give her honor the first thing that I do when I'm waking up. It's everlasting life to all who desire to drink
You're
it
like
up.
water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Been a hard weekend, it left me high and dry. I've been going through the ringer, I need you in my life. Time seems crazy, I'm stranded in the desert. This life gets so hot, I need a sip of you, God. Cause you're like water when I'm thirsty, yeah. Drink, drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink, drink. Ooh. It's warm down here. It's hard to breathe. It's burning my eyes, Lord. So hard to see. I'm quite parched now. I need a saying. Come quench my thirst, Lord, because you're like water for the thirsty. I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink. Water for the thirsty, I drink.
It's like water for the thirsty. Truthfully, our souls parched. You will find them when you seek them with your whole heart. It's so hard to stay consistent through the word I'm reading. Cause the time is coming soon when every eye gon' see him in the clouds above. This is about a love that quenches the thirst, but the world offers is not enough. Taste and see from this fountain spring, you'll be lining up to get a drink, refreshing ink flowing out of cups. This life they gotta touch, you liberate them out of cuffs. The faith is undivided trust, created us up out of dust. He's worthy of fresh well of living water for the thirsty. Give her honor the first thing that I do when I'm waking up. It's everlasting life to all who desire to drink
You're
it
like
up.
water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. Like water when I'm thirsty. Drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. left me high and dry. I've been going through the ringer. I need you in my life. Time seems crazy. I'm stranded in the desert. This life gets so hot, I need a sip of you, God. Cause you're like water when I'm thirsty, yeah. Drink, drink. You're like water when I'm thirsty. Drink, drink. Hey. Ooh. It's warm down here. It's hard to breathe. It's burning my eyes, Lord. So hard to see. I'm quite parched now. I need a saying. Come quench my thirst, Lord. Because you're like water for the thirsty. I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink. You're like water for the thirsty. I drink. Water for the thirsty. I drink.
It's like water for the thirsty. Truthfully, our souls parched. You will find them when you seek them with your whole heart. It's so hard to stay consistent through the word I'm reading. Cause the time is coming soon when every eye will see him in the clouds above. This is about a love that quenches the thirst, but the world offers is not enough. Taste and see from this fountain spring, you'll be lining up to get a drink, refreshing ink flowing out of cups. This life they gotta touch, to liberate them out of cuffs. Through faith is undivided trust, created us up out of dust. He's worthy of fresh well of living water for the thirsty. Give her honor.
Good night, everyone. Welcome to Water for the Thirsty. My name is Jared. I'm your host and the facilitator of the conversation. At Water for the Thirsty, if this is your first time, we are a group of people who want to get to know Jesus better and want that the things that we learn about him make sense in our lives in a real way. Yeah, we're real people with kids and families, and we want this thing to make sense of it. We're not just reading the Bible and having conversation just because we want to have talk. We really want to know how this thing works. So what we do, we follow a reading plan that you can get at waterforthethirsty.com. And we read. Excuse the background. This is sometimes it's like that. Yes, you can get a copy of the reading plan. We follow the reading plan, and then we come and talk about what we saw, what we heard, what troubled us, what excited us, those kinds of things. We've been in the book of Mark. We've also been in the book of
James.
Well, since last we met, yes, we did read James, and we read several of the minor prophets:
Micah, Nahum.
Hosea, Micah, Nahum, Habakkuk. We just started Jeremiah. Our reading plan actually follows the story of the Old Testament, and where the story intersects with one of the prophets, we move over there, hear what they say, and then move back into the story for context. So it's kind of interesting like that. We're also reading the book of Psalms. That's just to give you context on where our conversation is going to come from. Tonight with us, we have two guests. Shalon, who's been here before, so I'm not sure he's really a guest anymore. He's a regular, and hopefully he'll become a regular. Don't tell him that. Shonice, you know Shonice.
Hi.
Shonice's role is to help keep us center. That's her role. And we also have with us for the first time, Nisha Ann.
Hi.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, Nisha Ann.
Oh wow. I'm from Jamaica.
Oh, well. Fortunately, there are no more Jamaicans here.
Yeah.
I'm playing.
I'm really happy to be here to share in the word with you guys.
Thank you,
Amen.
Nisha, for accepting the invitation to be here. Kenrick and Sharika are on their way. Friday evening traffic. They'll be here shortly. So, we're going to start with Nisha Ann, who's been following along with us. Tell me about how you experienced the word this week. What happened? What did you see? What did you hear? What did you like? What did you dislike? Anything that you had a question about? Anything that you wrestled with?
So there are a couple of things. I think one question that stood out to me that I was wrestling with even today was when I was reading through the chapters in Mark. I noticed how Jesus, every time he performed a miracle, he would tell them, don't tell anybody. Well, except for the demon-possessed man. He said, go tell all your family. But for everybody else, he said, don't tell anybody. And I just wrestled with that a little bit, like, why didn't you want people to know? And then I went to Revelation 12, where the scripture that says, you overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the word of your testimony. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you want them to testify of the goodness of the Lord? So
did you land anywhere?
I kind of did. I kind of landed. So this is where I landed. Jesus' ministry was not primarily about miracles. Mm-hmm. He came to share the word. He came to tell them what was going to happen, what was to come, to prepare them for his death, burial, and resurrection. In the process of doing that, he performed miracles along the way. And I think that it kind of became a carnival wherever he went, where people were just like, oh, well, let's go to see him do these miracles. And so I think he just wanted not everybody to not, like, people to not know where he was going to be, so as not to have that kind of crowd. And I think he did his best, well, not best, all his ministries were good, but like his most intimate ministries in small crowds, small groups, or one-on-one. And I think that was a part of the reason people were flocking him for miracles, and he really wanted them to get the word that he was sharing. Another thought I had was his ability to move around, because he wasn't omnipresent at the time. And so if everybody knew he was going to be somewhere, it caused his time there to be longer when he had somewhere, and he was on a time limit, because he knew when he was going to die, everything he had to accomplish. And so I feel like that was also a part of why he didn't want people to know where he was. I think in one of the, I don't know if it was in this reading, but the Syrophoenician woman, mm-hmm. she found him in a house mm-hmm. where nobody was even supposed to know that he was there, So that's what I was thinking from that question.
I'm going to tell you that before this reading of Mark, I never noticed how low-key Jesus was trying to be, like you said, and how much his miracles were not planned events, meaning he wasn't, and so for you to capture that, I was like, well, I've never seen that before. So thank you for sharing that. Did anybody else agree or disagree with where she landed as to why Jesus didn't want them to tell about why what had happened, why he was trying to restrict the testimonies, especially since there's power in overcoming in telling?
I completely agree with her.
Okay.
I know that one of the flaws in human nature is we like pomp and circumstance, and we get distracted with the minor points, and we don't want to bring them out. For me to be healed is a major point in my life, but in the whole scheme of things, it in terms of my soul, it's minor. And he was saying, just give me a minute. Even from his mother outed him. She's just like, oh, you don't have any more wine? Okay, Jesus, do whatever he says. He's like, lady, listen. I just came to a wedding. I'm supposed to celebrate with you guys, and we're supposed to, get out of here.
Right.
You're pushing things, and that's another thing with us. Timetables. It's like she said, we don't know how long Jesus was supposed to be on earth. I think that if less people crowded around him as much, the wrong people would not have been jealous as quickly, and he could have reached even more people in his life. If people really would have just been like, wow, this is a blessing. I don't need to tell everyone about this blessing per se, but I can tell them about what God wants for us. And it's not about what God wants for you. It's like, yo, you see, I can see, You know? And that becomes a thing. And people are not like, oh, what did God do for you? I want to be closer to God and have a relationship. It's like, oh, I want that too.
Made me see. Like I don't get it.
No, it's only he made me see. It's not, oh, I want to know him. I want to know anything about him. I could care less. If he did it for you, let him do it for me. I don't want a relationship. I might not want any
I don't want
of
to be
that.
his follower.
I don't want to be.
I don't care about
yes,
his teachings.
Yes. And
I'm
whereas
gonna climb up on this guy's house.
But that's what
and
the crowd
destroy his
wants.
house.
exactly, and that's
Right.
why Jesus didn't want the crowd.
But that, yeah,
And that's what we're
I
saying.
got you.
That's what we're saying.
Kenrick,
I wasn't
Nisha,
here. I was trying to listen on the radio, but I couldn't.
Kenrick, Nisha, and
Hi,
Kenrick.
Kenrick.
Hi,
Nice to
how
meet
are
you.
And then
Nisha Ann was just sharing about one of the things that stood out to her,
Mhm.
and she was talking about how initially she wrestled with why Jesus was trying to restrict the testimonies, but then she came to understand that he may not have wanted the crowds. Is that about right?
Pretty much.
And she was just sharing that. And Charlene was about to disagree with her.
I don't like the crowds either.
Why not?
Because I don't. Do you trim the fat?
Okay. All right. How's the readings been treating you?
It's been cool.
Yeah.
Like I did Psalms.
Oh, look at that. How's that been going?
They still don't rhyme. But I think David's a whiner sometimes. But like,
A lot of times.
A lot of times. Well, I was trying to be. But he's I don't really talk to him in a long time. Like I haven't really messed with the Psalms in a long time. So but what I did realize is that even through his whining and then he wants revenge for like all kinds of stuff. Like it's because like he's comfortable enough with God to whine. And he's conceited sometimes in like his relationship. Like I mean,
Why would you say he's conceited? For those people who may not have read along, why would you think he's
I
conceited?
don't know. I don't know.
Just an overview. You don't have to cite a reference. Just
Like there are points where he talks about like he expected God, like he should have taken care of him. Like
I agree
I've
with
done like
you think he's conceited too?
I agree.
I've treated you well, Lord. Like I've worshipped you. I've done all these things. Like
Yeah.
like I expect you to do this, and I'm just like that kind of counteracts like a lot of stuff that I've read in other places.
I don't see it as conceited though. I see it as kind of like a cocky hope. You know, like I'm boasting in him. Like I see that as relationship.
I'm gonna find the verses.
Oh, okay.
But I know the parts where he'll see almost like sicking God
like
on people. Like God
30s,
get them
40s.
because of what they did to me. Like you have
Break
the
their
boldness.
arms,
Yeah, do this.
smash their noses.
Cut them off. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's no, but there are times when he was like, I deserve this because I do this for you. I'm just like, that's a little bit too much of the toe in the water. Like I don't think you should go there.
Has your daughter ever said that to you?
No, I would
In
beat the
sentiment.
snot out of my daughter. She thinks yes, she has. Yes.
I was about to say.
I'm a
How
father.
did you respond?
I'm a father. Like
He's
How did you
I
respond?
hugged her and was like, congratulations. Like you should think that. Yeah. But that's not God. Like that's not
Why not?
Why not?
because like it's just not. Have you been to church?
I've been to church,
Yeah,
but that
that's
don't
not
always
because I
look like
see
what's
that.
in here. You know?
Hold on, I'm gonna try to find it. Keep talking and I'll find the verse. But no,
I didn't see David as whining, and maybe no, I didn't. I saw him as, but I guess in my head I always see David as this handsome guy with a cleft in his chin, and he's instead
I mean,
of
you see the cleft in
whining.
his chin with that thick beard. that he-
Can you just-
keep Calvin out of the conversation?
You know what?
Is he bald?
And so.
Is David
And
bald?
light skin.
And so, when I'm complaining, someone might think I'm whining if I'm writing it down. But when I'm upset, I talk to God like this. Like, really? Did you see? I could have cussed that chick out, Lord, but I didn't. And I expected this blessing for not doing that and not doing that. Come on. Really? Now I'm here. How did I get here, Lord? You know, and so I don't see it as whining. I see it as him having this all out, heartfelt disappointment conversation with God. Like you know, he would say, those people out there, they don't even care about you. They mock your name, and look how happy they are. You know, I'm out here doing this, or you know, I'm suffering here or doing that, and hey, look at them.
Be great.
Really, Lord, really. So it's not like really, God. I just no. I see him.
that dude-
I see him manly, like
Manly
again,
whining?
Not whining. It's whining. It's
I
not
think
whining.
that's
So
the
what's a
difference
man-
between religion and relationship. Though.
He has a relationship. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. He has a relationship. So he's like, for real, because I know you could do this.
I
Why
don't
you
care
not doing
what
this for me?
relationship you have. What relationship do you have where you enjoy hearing someone whine?
It's not whining. It's a conversation.
It's a whiny
Yeah,
conversation.
but
It's a
consider what the
conversation.
situation has been, though. You know, first Saul was trying to kill him. Well, first while he was living in the house, and then he left the house, and Saul was trying to kill him, and he was always on the run. I mean, that was a frustrating time, and you write down your frustrations in song.
And
We
you
were
chose me,
sawing
Lord.
it.
I
We
was
were
out there with
barking
the
and
sheep,
I was
chilling.
Right.
I was chilling with the sheep. This guy goes through all my brothers. He blesses me. I'm like, I'm just gonna play my harp for the king, and his daughter's cute, but I'm not even gonna mess with her. See, I'm good. I'm not gonna even mess with her because she's out of my league, right?
But then I killed 200 men and,
and
cut off their
then
foreskins
and
for
then
her.
and then you
Yeah.
go through all of this stuff. You
Which
invite me.
is
You tell me.
gross.
It's
Maybe
not
it's
really
so-
gross. That was kind of manly.
Okay.
So
What?
Yeah.
You skin, no, if you want to skin somebody's head or whatever,
Don't get distracted. Don't get
come
distracted.
with
We get
me
distracted, people.
with
I-
400 pieces of someone's
He
small,
only but he only owed them 200. He was like,
yes,
there's
so he
four.
went and found 200 more joints.
He was like, there's four. That's just like
Cut
saying
a toe.
that's just like
Cut a
saying
leg.
that's just like saying, you know what? You know, I would like this gift. I would like a dozen roses, and then you walk into
No,
your house and it's like all
We're
of
not
these.
talking about flowers.
Yeah.
I'm just joking with that, but
Cut a tongue. Like,
don't get distracted. Don't get
Okay.
distracted. So David had this relationship with God where he's just like, I didn't ask for this. First of all, I didn't ask for this. I was chilling. I was gonna raise some sheep. You know, I took care of Goliath. You know, and then that was gonna be it for me. But now this guy's chasing me down for my life. You said you wanted this. Why am I going through
And
all
then
this?
his son was chasing him down for his
You know, and I mean, so his whole life was just like, and then he have all these women. He don't know what to do with all these women. And then
I
he
think
have all these
knew what-
kids.
I think he,
Just a little bit.
I think he
knew what to do.
I think a lot of men would know what to do.
No, he
with
didn't.
all those.
No, he didn't, because them and all their kids was running amok.
Oh,
You know
that's
what I'm
fine.
saying?
I'm saying
So, and all his children. I mean, but he was a hard.
To get to that
before. Get
point.
to that point.
Okay, what was
There are consequences, but he knew what he was doing.
Yeah, I think he knew.
y'all are getting distracted.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Why we have this
distracted.
moment of distraction?
Y'all know what I mean, like that contentious stuff and everything. And,
We don't just want you to watch the conversation. We'd like you to join in. So we have a chat room online. Log in the chat room, join the conversation. Rain has already logged in and said, while reading the Psalm, she found it funny that we're so ready for people to get punished, but we don't want the same level of punishment to come to us.
Yes, true.
True.
She also
True.
said, if we do wrong, we want mercy. If others do the same, we want death for them.
Yes.
I found that part a bit hypocritical.
But we all feel the
Pause.
same.
Pause.
We all feel
We
the
know
same.
that's true. We drive really fast, and we're like, I gotta get where I'm going. But if somebody cut us off, oh man.
No. We did the thing in youth church last time where we do questionnaires questions, and they have to sit there and talk. And we asked the kids, number one, do you believe in second chances? And they were like, yeah, we believe in second chances. And some people were like, no, we don't believe in second chances. It's like, would you give someone a second chance if they cheated? And they were like, no, we wouldn't give them a second chance. It was like, I thought you believed in second chances. You know, if it affects us,
We
then
want
no.
a second chance.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If it's something that somebody did to us, we're like, nah, you don't get a second chance. So yeah, it's human nature.
MJ said Job is often commended for taking his complaints to God. I have a question, MJ. Commended by whom?
That's what I'm gonna say. Not God.
Because I remember reading down to the end where
About from 45 to 50. So
God,
I'm talking about
God
himself.
kind of put him in his place for all that
Favorite
all that
areas.
fussing that he was doing.
Right.
Shallow, you've been
sir.
quiet, looking for a spot to jump in the conversation. So I'm gonna bring you in. Talk to me about the reading and what stood out to you. What you heard.
I was staying quiet because I want to switch gears completely.
Oh, right.
Didn't you say he had a problem with what you said?
I was giving him a problem.
Oh, you were giving him. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he didn't really have a problem.
I was interested. I was like, I want to hear this. Okay.
So, I mean, what was more interesting to me was Mark. And in reading through it, I started finding a common theme, and I was like, whoa, what is going on here? Demons were everywhere. I was like, he walked here and cast out a demon. He walked there and cast out a demon. So, and even when other people were talking about it, like the Pharisees, they weren't talking about it like, oh my goodness, it's a demon. It was like, oh, it's a demon. He cast another one out. So it seemed to me like the demonic representation was very prevalent back in that day. Like, it was everywhere. And then I'm like,
Did you see that the first demon he cast out was in the synagogue?
So wait. I was just getting that. I wanted to read that because I didn't understand. It took me 2 times over to really listen to it and hear it.
Which one was that again?
So can I ask a question as we're trying to find it? So are demons? Do we not have demons today, or are there demons now in medical terms?
That's exactly.
I think we still have them, but I don't know if there is.
We have Ritalin for demons now. I'm just saying, like, do we have
Well, mental illness.
mental illness?
Okay, so that's a part of
Is
it.
that-
I don't consider that a demon necessarily. I don't believe that it came from God because He gives us a sound mind. But as it relates to demonic activity, I think demons are very much around. I don't think they're manifesting as boldly as they were in that day.
Okay. No, I was just curious because
disagree with that.
as I was reading, I was thinking kind of the same thing.
Let's get to his point and then
Yeah.
we'll sidebar.
23. Just then, a man.
Mark chapter 5.
Mark 1, chapter 23.
No, verse. Wait.
Verse 23, sorry.
Oh, Mark
1.
Oh, okay.
Verse 23.
Read from 21.
21.
Mark 1, 21.
Okay. They went to Capernaum, and when the Sabbath came, Jesus went into the synagogue and began to teach. The people were amazed at his teaching because he taught them as one who had authority, not as the teachers of the law. Just then, a man in the synagogue who was possessed by an impure spirit cried out, "What do you want with us, Jesus of Nazareth? How have you come to destroy us? I know who you are, the Holy One of God." So that one kind of really hit me because it was like, okay, you mean to tell me in a synagogue, which is our equivalent of church, all these preachers and pastors that were probably in there, Pharisees, whoever you want to call them, all these holy people were in there alongside this man who had the demon or impure spirit inside of him, and it didn't manifest. He was inside there chilling, just hanging out, and it took Jesus walking in and teaching for it to manifest and say, "Oh no, now I got to get out of here." So it really made me relate to to present day, because I'm like, wait a minute, does that mean that we could have people that are possessed with demons walking into our churches, and because we ain't right or whoever's leading ain't right, that thing is able to sit there inside that person and not even manifest because it's like, oh, I'm good, I'm chilling. Because in this case, it took Jesus to come and figure it out, or to start talking for that thing to be like, oh no, I gotta get out of here. What's going on?
He wasn't. No, he didn't say I gotta get out of here. He said, why are you here?
True.
Why are you here in church?
Interfering with us.
Why are you here in church with us?
Right.
Why are you here in church with us?
Wow.
Right. And that's not the only instance in which the demons talked to him and said, like when they wanted to go into the pigs, they were in the hills or whatever. They're like, don't let it make. We know we got to get out of these people, right? But we don't want to leave the area.
And that's what stood out to me. They had an assignment for that area. They didn't want to leave the area.
That was scary.
They're like, this is our territory over here. Yeah.
So actually, I never thought about that.
Me neither.
Yeah.
That's a good. Wow.
So how many strip clubs got assignments, or you know what I'm saying?
How many churches got it? No, you. So
Yes,
when you
churches
said it,
and-
and we're putting it in context, like you're completely right. Like it wasn't until a truth sayer came in and started speaking that demon was agitated.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
so my question is, if we don't see demons agitated, are we getting what we need?
Well,
That's the thing. See, the thing is, and that's where I
So
want
if
to go
nobody
back
starts
to.
screaming at y'all tomorrow, then
No, it's
I'm
not.
walking
It's not
out.
even. It's not even about that because the demon started shouting. But the truth is, it was there in the midst of people. It could have been talking. Have you ever spoken to someone and you're like, what you said to me is not of God.
yeah.
They're trying to break my spirit, and then they tap you and say, "Okay, yeah, sweetie," and they say the right things to mix it in with a lie or something to discourage you, and you're like, you know what? And we don't want to say it. We don't want to admit that there are demons
I've been in a couple
all
places where
over
demons.
all over the place, and we don't want to call it because what do we call it? We call it bad mood. There are some people who we say, oh, they're medicating. We think that it's only like drug addicts and stuff who get have demons and so forth. But everywhere it can be manifest. Even if we're open to it, there can be a point in our life, because if we read on, it says get rid of them. And if you don't fix up yourself and have the correct desires, then more is going to come back.
Yeah.
And so we know. I mean, there have been times when I said something to someone, I'm like, oh man, sorry, Lord. You know what I mean? Sorry, Lord. Or I did something, sorry, Lord. And I know I wasn't possessed in terms of I summoned a demon, but I know that someone enjoyed a ride with me. You know what I mean?
And then there's demon possession and demon oppression. It doesn't always have to be on the inside, but you can be oppressed. Like it's a stronghold. You keep going back to the same thing over and over again, and you realize each time the conviction is getting less and less and less until it's like I don't even feel convicted anymore about this thing that I'm doing.
Yes.
If we were going to tie it to something present day, because that's what I like to do. What I also realized, I turned on my TV after reading this, and it's like, wow, demons were everywhere, and they're kind of not. I mean, I'm sure they're still around, but they're not as obvious as they used to be. But I think one of the biggest pushes from that side of the fence in this day and age is media, right? And I just turned on my TV and I was watching stuff that's coming, like seasons that are upcoming and stuff like that. And literally, I went through maybe about 4 or 5 shows, and they all have some kind of demonic, theme to it in one way or another. And it's like, wow, okay, so the demons may not be manifesting and running around the streets the way they used to, but if they're technically suggesting that demons are cool, or that being able to summon something is cool, or this power that a demon provides is cool, you're raising a generation of children who think, okay, well, if something decides to take me over, I'm okay with it because I'll be able to do all those things that I've seen on TV. So that's how I compared it to, him casting it out back in the day. Now it's on TV right in your face every other show.
And also the news. Like there was I saw the caption a while ago, and I was just like, everyone's like drugs, but this guy did something, ran around naked, and then ate a homeless man's face.
Ate the face.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And people just like, yeah, don't do that drug. Like, really? That was it?
It could have been a drug.
Yes, but really, that's it?
Yeah, it was.
That's it. It was just me. How far do you go? How far do you let your inhibitions drop by yourself, in and of yourself, and do something as brutal as that? We saw a little picture of a little naked guy running.
But it's difficult, and I've said it before.
You know what I mean?
It's difficult in this day and age with what we have access to differentiate, in this case, between demon possession and drugs, or the effects thereof, and even
miracles and medicine.
Yeah, you're absolutely.
So
absolutely
I'm saying, so everywhere we turn,
we have to test it.
We've been desensitized.
It's true.
Right?
It's very true. Very desensitized.
So I'm hearing what you're saying, but I want to go back to your original point about about the presence of the demons in the synagogues, because I read down a little bit, and verse 39 says, "And he went into their synagogues throughout all Galilee, preaching and casting out demons."
Everywhere.
Out all. Good grief.
He went to the synagogues to preach and cast out demons. And I'm, as you said, I'm thinking about it. The demons were comfortable there
In the church.
in the church. And it wasn't until Jesus showed up that people even knew that they were there.
The church is a hospital.
So it makes me reflect on, wow.
But you know what's funny? It says, so he traveled throughout the region in Galilee, preaching in the synagogues and expelling demons from many people. So one of the things that we see, because remember we were talking about Jesus' mission, it was important to him to go into the church and get rid of this foolishness.
Ask, what was the culture or in the environment of the church back then? Because we can see the battle between him and the Pharisees. It wasn't spiritual.
It was.
It was spiritual.
It was spiritual.
Define spiritual.
I'm saying the Pharisees were not spiritual people.
Okay.
Right.
I'm
They
saying
believe themselves
so the battle between them. I'm not saying that wasn't spiritual. I'm saying that was spiritual. I'm saying the Pharisees, what was going on in church, because of who the Pharisees have proven themselves to be, you can tell that wasn't a spiritual environment.
Right.
So it's probably not, when you kind of step back and look at it, it's probably not difficult to understand that there were demons there, because they weren't there. The Pharisees weren't there to ensure that everybody was having a closer walk with God.
Wow.
Does anybody else's version of 39 say preaching in their synagogues?
Yes.
And then when we go back to verse 20...
Mine says the synagogues.
Mine says there.
23, it also says their synagogue.
Mm-hmm.
Why is he calling it their synagogue?
Oh, I just thought that was, maybe I'm wrong. I thought there was inference on describing the town. So, now I'm in Nazareth.
Yes.
Their synagogues. Galilee. Their synagogues.
Well,
Their
kind of, but
synagogues.
then back in 21 he says enter the synagogue.
Well, all mine say the.
All mine
say the
say
in
the.
there. So it's just mine. That's cool.
Oh, mine just says the.
Yeah. Well, context for 39.
What version?
Context for 39, it was multiple synagogues in multiple areas, so they use the plural, the verb. Whereas in 21, it was a specific reference to a specific synagogue.
So wouldn't it just be synagogues with an S? Not necessarily a possessive?
Mine has an S.
Mine has a
Mine has an S.
No. I'm saying to
For
the
the there.
argument of the there, you wouldn't need a possession. You can just leave it as synagogues, plural.
No, you have to go back to the verse before. In the early morning, when it was still dark, Jesus left the house, went to the secluded place to pray. Simon and his companions searched for him. They found him and said, "Everyone is looking for you." He said, "Let us go somewhere else to the towns nearby, so I may teach there also, for that's what I came for." And he went into their synagogues, the synagogues belonging to the towns, throughout all Galilee, preaching and casting out
I
demons.
don't disagree, but if he said preaching in these synagogues and casting out, it would be the same thing.
I guess my question is, what's the significance?
For me, when I was reading it, he started with the. And after he started casting out these demons, he's like, those are their synagogues. And those are their places. I ain't got nothing to do with this. This ain't my place. I'm in these people's town. It's like the good versus evil thing. He started with the. Okay, this is neutral. I keep coming here and there's a bunch of demons. This belongs to y'all. I'm here to try this. And I keep going and finding them.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
It's possible.
Because I swear, if I walk into a church, now this is y'all church. I don't know. I don't know nothing about
Could
this
it be
church.
that the synagogues were run by the Pharisees, and that's why he said there.
Well, we know that they started selling stuff in some of the synagogues. You had to flip over tables. Like I'm saying, like
Well, they were selling stuff in the temple. See,
Well,
the difference
temple,
is the
well.
temple was the center place where the sacrifices and all those things would happen. But what they started doing was setting up these smaller buildings where people would come and read scriptures and have conversations and stuff. And those things were called synagogues.
Okay.
So it wasn't the temple where everybody went. And so they set up their synagogues, you know.
But I'm saying, I guess to a larger point,
local.
you see throughout that there was a lack of spirituality, and it kind of
Yes.
began to taper off a lot more because they then went to the temple and did this, and they went.
I got a quick question, kind of touching back to that. So, tying it back to today, what would our church be considered, the temple or like a synagogue? Because it seems like a synagogue and a temple
You can't
are
even-
slightly separate.
Can't even really compare them
Fellowship halls to the temple.
because the whole dynamic is changed.
Yeah, it's a change.
Okay.
We would be closer to synagogues because we are now the temples.
Okay.
Because the temple was the place where God was, and God's name was,
Gotcha.
in the most holy place. It was the presence of God among them, and now He's in us, so we become the temples. And so it's not you can't really one-to-one them.
Got you. Okay. That makes sense.
Sharika, talk to me.
I speak. What do I talk to you about? Oh, what?
Yes,
What I
Sharika,
read-
why we here to talk?
All right. So you want to hear my New Testament or my Old Testament?
The one that stands out to you more, the one that impacts you personally.
Bro, both of them do. So,
The Old Testament.
bet, since we in Mark. Well, I have one in Mark, so I can start.
All right, the New Testament.
No, I give you all.
Oh my gosh.
Start with Mark. Go ahead.
Mark chapter 5, the woman with the issue of blood.
Mercy.
The never-ending period.
A never-ending period.
Mercy.
Yes, where her uterus lining will not just stop.
Yeah.
Mercy.
Wow.
Mercy.
Wow.
I mean, that brings it to perspective.
Thanks for the visual.
I'm glad I was able to help.
Our righteousness is filthy, right?
Uterine linings, yes. That's your righteousness. Carry on.
Oh my God.
More so verse 33.
Mark 5.
Yeah. So we know the story. Boom. She finds her way into the crowds. Mad people touching. Violation of personal space. And in her head, she's like, if I can just reach out and touch this guy, I can make this work for me. I can be healed. And then Jesus realizes somebody touches him, which everybody's like, what are you talking about? Everybody's around. But what I found was very interesting is in 33, she, the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came in fear and trembling and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. It seems as if, at least for me, it was more so, I'm willing to go to jail, get in trouble. I'm scared out of my mind, but I needed this healing. So if that means I go to jail whole, I'm good. But I'm willing to risk my freedom in order to just follow an inkling of belief.
I think we do that every day, though, as believers. Because we don't enjoy some of the quote-unquote freedoms of this world because of our decision to follow Christ. But I think for that story, to me, y'all might disagree. I think the greater miracle is that she survived for 12 years.
Wow.
Because she must have been severely anemic at this point if she's bleeding 12 every day for 12 years. I think that itself was a greater miracle than touching the hem of his garment and be like, he kept her alive. She was alive for 12 years. And then she was able to make her way through it. Like, where'd you get the energy from to do that? Like, you go through 1 week and you cannot move. The world is coming to an end. And then this is 12 years. So to me, it's like, okay, I see 2 miracles in that story.
Okay, well,
I would have never seen that.
Well, and I
glad.
want to clarify. I want to clarify that part too in terms of the whole hemorrhage thing. A hemorrhage for 12 years may not be a daily. What it means is an irregular and heavy. If you ask doctors, sorry, I have asked doctors. It could mean that for these 12 years, it has just been so bad that she didn't know it was coming, going. She was severely anemic. I completely agree with that. But the reason why she kept going to these different doctors too is because someone had a healing. Someone had a remedy. Someone had an herb or this or that, and she would go here or go there, spend her money on it, and seem to get better. So she might spend a little bit more money, and this was just a quick fix or something like that. But this is something that that women actually go through.
As
a
someone
lot.
who's had a hemorrhage for years,
Yes.
I don't necessarily have to be anemic. I wasn't anemic. But you're right. It does take a level of inner strength to survive
It does.
a hemorrhage for years. And I'm talking 10 years per se. Walked around every day. Still don't know about hemorrhage. But that's besides the point. So you're right. It takes an inner level of strength. And that is a God-felt strength. And I believe that he let her last that long to
Absolutely.
prove
Yes.
this
Absolutely.
point.
Yes.
But
And
there's
it-
something else that stood out to me there too, and when she
I
touched
like
him.
that, Shalom. I like how you
Just
cut
cut me
off.
off.
He felt bad for you in the beginning. He said, "Come in, Shallow."
Good job. Good
I
job.
mean, it seemed like it's Jesus. So obviously he knew the minute she was approaching, she's on her way, right? You know what I'm saying? So when she touched, he felt the power leave. He said, who touched me? He didn't have to. He could have known. She could have went about her business. We didn't know about the story. But he specifically said, who touched me, and waited for a response. So it was like, oh, you knew, but you were testing her spirit to see if she was willing to fess up and say, take the licking. If that's what it, you know what I mean? If, hey, you touched me, jail her or something like that. But she was willing to say, you know what, I'm sorry, it was me. And I noticed in a lot of people that he did heal and stuff like that, he gave them like this little mini test in a sense. Like, let me see if your spirit is right, or if you just really come in because you want to get this and go about your business.
I believe it was key for her to be frightened.
I believe
Like,
the
how would the
complete
disciples?
opposite.
Okay.
Which one do you take? Take which one?
Well, I had my own. So if I have to take, I'm going
Well,
to
be
take mine.
selfish, take yours, and then work your way.
I was going to say, I don't know that.
She believed.
Well, not that. I was going to say,
I don't think she.
I think he was genuinely surprised.
Yes, I
by
think
the touch.
so. I think so.
I don't think he knew it was coming, and because
Why?
Because of the way it's written and the way the disciples respond. It's like,
Exactly.
dude, everybody's touching me, and so he's like, no, there's something different about this touch. This touch is power leaving me, which means somebody
I don't like that.
believed something that allowed, because if all these people are touching him and no power is leaving, there has to be something different about her touch.
Exactly, and that's a great thing because that's exactly what I want to.
Skip this line.
Because, and so he said Jesus realized that once the healing power to speak to what Shalom said. I don't think Jesus walked into an area and just synchronized everyone's thoughts and feelings and things like that. I think he had some focus. I think the human side of him allowed him to stop, listen to people, and actually concentrate on what someone was saying to him. Because there's nothing worse than you talking to somebody and they're thinking about something else.
Hold on.
Right.
You get it?
Yeah.
So I really think that he like once she did touch him, because remember, this was faith. Faith moves mountains, but we have to ignite that. And God wants a relationship with us. He doesn't just read our mind just automatically. He wants to have a conversation. He wants to, and so he chooses, even though he chooses to have a barrier link between our brain and all the waves and the expression of faith through our actions.
As long as we know we think this, and this is opinion.
All opinion.
What is opinion?
What y'all just said.
But
What
the
I
Bible
just said?
says it. The Bible says
What I just said?
Yes.
Jesus realized at once healing power had. He said he realized at once. It didn't say he knew it was coming, and so he said it. He didn't.
No, like you went through this whole thing about he only focuses on one person. When he gets
No,
in there, he's like Kobe. He's only
That was her.
He's only trying to.
I'm done with
No,
this.
I'm not saying. I'm saying at that time remember someone was talking to him, and he's talking to somebody about their daughter, and he's not in the other mind saying, okay, this lady's coming in and so on and so forth.
How do you know?
Because he was
Because
talking.
of what he said. Because of what he said. Because of his response.
Hold up.
Because of what he recorded his response.
If she didn't, remember, if she didn't touch him, there wouldn't have been anything wrong. She would have still had the problem, and she'd have been waiting her turn.
I'm not saying that what you're saying is wrong. What I'm saying is, I don't know if that's necessarily gospel.
What does the gospel actually say?
That's what. So.
I'm reading from the Bible. This is the Bible.
But there's still.
I'm not making this up. I'm not making this up.
But there's still. So
It's up to interpretation.
I'm still. Even from that, I don't know if I can say 100% certainty that is what Jesus was thinking,
Right,
and
exactly.
that it just wasn't
I can
something
agree
that
with
Jesus said in order to
It's
gather
open.
the attention of
Right.
to make another point,
Right.
which he's very famous for doing.
Right.
Okay.
So that's all I'm saying.
Okay.
I think he knew that she was going to touch him because he was God and he was man at the same time. And I think he knew. I think he called her out, like you said, Shalon. He didn't have to, but I think he did for the multitude.
Right.
For her to say, because they knew she
I
had
think
this
he's-
issue.
And
I
it's
think-
stink.
I
Like
think-
I'm cool with
Right,
that.
it's
Like
stink,
it's
it's
stink.
I'm gonna say yes. I agree that he did call her out for a reason, and including the
I agree
multitude.
with that.
I believe that, but I do believe that if I'm in the crowd and people are pushing all around, right, and all I'm feeling is pushing, and then there's this touch that's
Of
not
faith.
that's not like any of the other pushing that's happening. I need to know who
I want to
who
point
was
it
who
out.
was able to
So let
access
me-
that
so you
thing
think he-
inside.
So I
me.
get-
So I guess
who was the person that was accessing that?
what's blowing me from this conversation
Whoa, bro.
is
Sure you do.
I said what?
You some water.
Is he's powerful enough to feel power come from him, but he's not powerful. He's not God in that he doesn't know
Right,
what's going
right,
on.
That's my thinking.
Right.
That's why I'm like, so
Right.
like, what's the?
But that's not what I said.
That's what we're saying.
No, we both agreed that he knew who she was and what happened. The thing is,
That's
her
what we all said.
actions,
Get it, bro.
her actions did something different.
Surprise.
Remember. This person who's just rubbing against me, they're waiting their turn to tell me what happened. She touched him with the intent of not waiting her turn, just getting a little touch, being healed. So her intention, her brain power, whatever else, her faith was very different. He knew what this guy next to him wanted. He knew what she wanted. He knew what everyone wanted. Right now, I'm talking to them. They all want something. Okay, but she was like, you know what? I'm not about to talk to him. He knew she touched him. Boom, and now it came out. He's like, hold up, that was different. That's a different touch.
We agree.
No,
We're
no,
just
yeah,
saying he
that's
wasn't
nothing-
surprised.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a surprise versus.
Yeah.
I think.
And that's my point.
Based
It's
on the
stink.
Bible, and that's what I'm saying. It says Jesus realized at once.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
That's all I'm saying. That's,
Yeah,
It's perspective.
they-
But listen, but the Bible
There's no way
doesn't
to know
say
for
that.
sure.
there's no way
But
to
the
know
Bible-
for sure.
but
But
the
it
Bible
doesn't say
doesn't
he was
say.
surprised either.
Yeah.
It
No,
says
right. No,
it says
no.
Jesus realized at once that healing power had gone from him.
That doesn't mean he
But there were
was
so
surprised.
many
Doesn't mean he was
obvious
surprised by it.
things.
Doesn't mean they're surprised by it.
Right, but it's the same way you would look
Right.
like, let's say you have a dog or a child or something like that, and you know the only person that took the cookie was that one child.
Or
You're
dog.
or dog.
Really?
And you say, who did that? You know what I'm saying? And you're looking to see if they're going to
If they're going to-
if they're going to fess up or if
And that
they're
would be
going to
more
run.
ideal because I'm
I
trying to
agree
figure
that-
out the frightened
I
part.
agree.
My child or dog would be frightened.
Right.
Who are the disciples where this chick is frightened?
I think she. Oh, you know what just
I
came
think
to
she's
me?
embarrassed.
I think she
She wanna know
was.
it.
I think she.
Who are the disciples to where? So then the frightened woman trembling at the realization of what had happened to her. So
This is why I'm not sure.
is she
he was
frightened about the fact that she now felt healed and she didn't
No,
know and she was
no.
unsure?
This is
Bro.
stink. And this
Or
is-
is she frightened because
She
she
got
doesn't
the
know the
goons.
repercussions?
So this is stink. This is stink.
Okay.
I think that because in those days when you were unclean, because you were bleeding
that's
like
right.
that. So
Okay.
you touch somebody, you
That's
pass it
right.
on to them,
That makes
and
sense.
you get excommunicated or sent
That's
away
true.
like
That
that.
makes
So
sense.
that's what I'm taking it as. She felt like, well, okay, now I polluted him, and I'm gonna be called out.
I think
I think-
you're right.
That makes sense.
She was trying to do it privately,
some-
and he's like called her out.
That makes sense.
We have some feedback from the room. All right. I was reading the commentary, and it noted that people with disease like hers isn't allowed to touch others,
Yes.
which is her point. She risked ridicule from all sectors of society because if she were to touch someone, it was believed that the person touched now has a disease.
Did not think about that. Yes.
See, so Jesus
That
was
makes
revealing
sense.
that he was touched, and even more of a point he was making because he was revealing not only what she risked to touch him, but that he did not shun her like society would. And Marcy says, or reacting to the situation. Cree says, I think he knew that it was her who touched him. Maybe he didn't know it was going to happen. So Rain is talking back to Marcy, so I'm going to skip over that. He called her out because at the time she was to be shunned because of her issue. Yes, Cree is agreeing. Cree is agreeing with you.
Makes sense.
Yeah, her point is to agree with you. All right,
So
cool.
I don't know how we're defining faith. I don't believe she had faith in God per se, or Jesus, or the Son of Man, or what he was declaring himself to be. I believe this is a Hail Mary. And I put all my eggs into this one bet. Listen, I'm getting worse according to verse 26. I keep trying these things. I'm not
it's
getting
not
any
working.
better. I'm getting worse. And I hear of this man who done heal all over the place. Obia healing, birds healing. I don't know what he's doing. But this is my last resort, folks, because he has a perfect record. I'm going to just try what I got. So I'm putting all my energy into this. I don't think it had anything to do with whether or not he was the Son of Man. I think
So
it
what
was
do
a
you think
matter of...
about verse 28? She sounded pretty confident that she was going to be made well.
No, which I'm saying, he has a 100% record. He has a healing record here. He's never touched nobody and they don't get healed.
So-
I'm going to ride for this.
So let's go to the book of John, where John talks about, he uses the term believe a lot, right? What is it from the book of John? I mean, we can go there and look, but rather than do that because in the interest of time, what is it that Jesus wanted people to believe?
At
If
first,
you could do
I think it's a
whatever he
two-step process. That he's capable, and then what is he capable of and who it came from.
Let's go back to Jesus' mission, not about the healings. Jesus' mission on earth. What did he want people to believe?
That he was the Son of God.
How did he demonstrate that he was the Son of God?
The miracles and the demons that got cast out, and he had witnesses. He had witnesses with him all the time, and that kind of stood out to me too because he would say, "Oh my gosh, why are you guys scared again? Didn't you just see what I did back there? Didn't I just feed those 5,000 people? Why do you not yet believe?" And it's like, well,
A counter. This ain't the first time I've seen miracles. This ain't the first time the stories of prophets and then what Elijah did and what Elisha did. Elijah lied on a dead man. I mean, this is not the first time that I've heard the stories and I've probably seen the healing. Which is why I'm saying he has a good track record as a healer. That he's not necessarily special yet, at least from my perspective of her story.
Well,
as far as
okay.
the Son of Man is concerned.
So
You know what? That I actually can agree with that. I think her main objective was to be healed. What I do believe, and this is why I think he called her out, because to her it was like, he's a great healer. I heard Jesus in town, great record. I'm not supposed to even be here. I'm not supposed to be touching people. I'm not supposed to be, especially, I mean, not only this whole unclean thing, but also women and men, So I'm going to just touch him quietly. And I know, because she knew, I know I'm going to be healed because he's a great healer. But I believe that's another reason why Jesus called her out. Because he wanted to change her life, not just change her health.
Can I ask a question that's more in response to Jared? Is there, I guess, and tied to your question, is there a prerequisite for healing, for being healed? There's a prerequisite for being saved. Like there are things that you have to do.
I would say
Like
yes. I would say yes.
because it
I would
ties
say
into
yes.
what she's asking.
I would say yes, but I'd have to take you along a long road to get to how I got to yes.
I would say no.
Hold on. Before I take your
He's gonna take a
dissent,
shortcut to that.
before I
to
take
that
your
word.
dissent, one of the things I'm learning is that in the Bible, faith and healing are come from the same root word. Faith is the noun version of the word. Faith and belief. Faith is the noun version of the word. Belief is the action version of the word. It's the verb. It's the same word. It's like doubt. You have doubt the thing,
Or I can doubt.
or I can doubt.
Yes.
Right? We have two different words to describe the same one word, or two forms of the word, the same word. So the other thing is that if we shift our perspective a little bit away from the healing and onto the person, we realize that faith is not about the action, but faith is the representation of my belief in the person.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is,
Whatever it
but
is,
in this context, belief in the person. So, if you listen to her story, she believed that this guy could heal her
Yes.
because of who he was. She didn't know who he was. That he would. She may not have known necessarily that he was the Son of God.
And I guess that's my point.
She may not have known that. She may not have known that he was. Yeah, let's leave that. The
That's
Son
why I
of
said
God.
no. And that's why
And I think that's
She
what
may-
Sharika, I think
But
that's
she
Sharika's
did
point.
believe.
She did.
She did. Well, maybe she did.
No, she did. Verse 34 it says it. Jesus says, "Daughter, your faith has made you well."
Right. Her faith in
His
in
healing
who
capabilities.
in him.
Yes.
Yes,
And his
not
healing
Son of
capabilities.
God, not Son of God.
Is
not,
a think? This a think?
No. So
I like her.
yes.
I like
Okay.
her.
Don't throw stuff
like
back. Don't regurgitate.
I like that.
So I think it comes back to what you're asking, because there's no evidence that she has believed in the Son of God. There's evidence that she believes in the fact that he's batting 1,000, and that because he's batting 1,000, and I put all my hope in these guys, and I know personally they're not batting 1,000. I have to believe that this is going to happen, and not even necessarily belief in like him being able to do it, like just believing in the possibility that he can do it.
Because he has not.
Because he has not failed
But
yet.
the belief is in him.
The
That's
teacher. Yeah.
the belief
Yes.
is in him.
Yes.
But who
And-
he
but
represents?
the
and his
belief-
chances of doing it.
Right. We don't know who he is,
They
right?
called him the teacher.
yes.
He's Clark Kent. We don't know he's
They called
Superman,
him the teacher.
right?
Name
I
it.
just know him as Clark Kent.
Yes.
I don't know he's really Superman,
Yes.
right? I just know the guy who works in the
the
newspaper.
newspaper.
I know the guy who works in the newspaper, but I believe in him.
Yes.
And I think what Jesus is rewarding is, because you believe in me, let me show you who I am.
Yes.
I
I agree.
And
I
so,
disagree.
What?
I disagree because that's not. If you look at other points in the Bible, because I'm not going to say I think. I'm saying the lepers. There are different instances. I believe healing is
Wait,
a
what
part
are you
of a
disagreeing
recipe
with?
that you had to have faith in Jesus to heal you.
That's
No,
what we
no.
just said.
Jesus, the
you don't have
person.
to.
We're saying
Jesus the teacher. Jesus
the teacher. That's
this is
it.
the guy who heals.
Yes. Who
Yes,
that
that's
is
his
how-
only-
That's all he is.
That's all we're giving him now. His name is Jesus.
Okay, so
we know
I-
that, but
and he-
not necessarily
his
saying that
connection,
he's.
we don't know.
Yes.
There's no example of
But, okay,
anybody
here's a
who
question.
didn't believe in him
Here's-
who was healed.
I'm trying to stay on the question that says, is there prerequisite for healing? And my answer is no to that. And because I thought I heard you guys saying you have to believe in Jesus fully in order.
No, that's not what we said.
No, not Jesus, capital J.
No. I'm not saying
The
that.
homie.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying just that this guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I see where, I mean, like, I'm thinking about the lepers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if he healed them, great. If he didn't, it wasn't like faith. It wasn't like
It was faith.
it was like, oh, this is another guy who could heal us. Good,
It was
good.
It
faith.
had to be.
His
Yeah, but-
question was, is there a prerequisite for healing? Like, if you have no faith, can God still heal you? And I believe, yes, he can, because healing is a part of a recipe that allows you to be saved with everything that adds together for whatever's coming out of the oven, your life. And you can still choose not to accept him and be saved once you learn everything. But the whole healing thing is just one of the ingredients in a recipe. So I don't think that you have to. This is a case where she had tremendous faith, and it worked out for
Can you
her.
show me an instance?
I think I have an example. I don't
Hold on.
agree,
Hold
but
on.
I think I have an example.
Before I take
Okay,
it,
go ahead.
can you give an instance of anybody who was healed by Jesus who didn't believe that Jesus can heal them? Then
That's not what I'm saying.
hold on.
That's not what I'm saying.
Hold on. But that's what we're speaking about. The faith is only in him to be able to heal.
I agree with that.
And that's the prerequisite for healing. And here's why I say that. The very same chapter, the very next chapter, Mark chapter 6, he goes into his own town, and verse 5 says, and he could do no miracles there, except he lay hand on a few sick people and heal them. And he wondered at their unbelief.
Oh, wait. Okay, so stop there. You just said it. He wondered that he laid hands on people. They didn't.
Only a few people he could heal.
So that's
but generally,
very.
But no, but it doesn't say the people who few people who believed in him, so he healed them. You get it?
No, but his contrast
Right.
is he wondered at their unbelief.
Unbelief.
It's
Yes.
like Harriet Tubman. I could have saved more of these slaves if they just realized that they could be free. Like, it's just like, I could have healed these people if only they thought I was capable.
Not only that, but he wasn't going around basically saying, "Hey guys, believe me because I am Jesus, I am it." What he was more so still in the frame of mind of, "I'm teaching. I'm coming here. I'm teaching.
Yes.
If anything, don't run around and tell people that I'm healing people. This was just for you. I'm doing this for you." Is the kind of the way he seemed when I was reading it. That's how he seemed to come off. So I don't think it was faith in the fact that I'm the Son of God and I can do all things. It was
I agree
literally
with
the
this
faith.
point.
I think it
I'm
was
bringing it
faith.
back to the. I agree with all that. I'm tying it back to the original question. Kenrick asked,
Is there a prerequisite?
"Is there a prerequisite for being healed?"
Yes.
And you are saying yes, you have to have faith in this guy who's healing everybody. So I'm trying to help you see
Yes.
that. Yeah, that.
Yes.
And
Because Matthew 13:58 says the same thing.
so it says that if you don't have
He
faith,
did
in
not
being-
do many miracles there because of their unbelief. It's the same
Can I
story
ask
that
a
Mark
question?
is
Okay.
telling.
Okay,
It's
so
in reference to the same, it's describing Jesus going back to Nazareth and his inability to do the miracles because they didn't believe in him. And what they said was, "I know this dude.
Yes, there's a prerequisite.
This is Joseph's son. His sisters are here and his brothers are there."
Yeah.
And he couldn't heal because they didn't believe in his ability to do this. They didn't believe in him.
So can I ask a question? I agree. I agree that faith is the prerequisite for healing. My question is, to play contrarian, because I don't like the term devil's advocate.
Adversarial.
When they went to the Garden of Gethsemane for Jesus, and Peter cut the man's ear off, and Jesus healed him, did he have faith in Jesus? Because he went there to arrest him.
But he didn't go there to be healed at all. He didn't approach Jesus on
So
for
that
example,
makes
it was,
sense.
So there was, you know what I'm saying?
I
No,
see.
but serious, but
Yeah.
I don't. Here, I think it wasn't about the man at that point though. Like, for example, if
But that's
if me and Jared is rolling, right? Hold on a second. If me and Jared are rolling, and we just walk up to Kenrick. Kenrick came to get Jared. I didn't know. I'm gonna make sure I'm the killer this time because according to my personality trait, I'm the killer.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
He walks up to Kenrick's like, "Yo, give me your money, son." Blah blah blah. And I just go, "Pam!" He's like, "Yo, son, what the heck? Why you just killed the
He
man?"
just cuts off my force.
No, sorry. I'm not doing all
it
that.
wouldn't kill you. It just stinks.
I'm not doing all that. The lesson wasn't for Kenrick to come back or not be healed. It was to be like, "Yo, Sharika, you bugging. Like,
So,
I know why you're
Sharika,
here."
Was he healed?
It's two different lessons.
But
I think the lesson was, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So let me not do
but
that.
was he healed?
But he was healed. He was healed.
So
but
there's no
we
correction.
don't know if he believed.
His
And
healing.
very rarely do we ever get to this point, Shanice.
Kenrick, but thank you thank you, Kenrick, because all I'm saying is let's not put limitations on God based on our unbelief. This whole city was against him, so he's like, you know what? I'm not working with y'all. He chose not to work with them because of their unbelief. It wasn't I just can't do it because my powers are stopped. It was like, yo, I'm not messing with y'all because it's not gonna help anything.
He didn't ask people. He didn't ask
this. If I add this ingredient to your recipe, it's not gonna make a difference because you don't even care who I am, or it's not gonna make the relationship with me any better. So this is not a way to get to you.
I guess the context of the question, as I understood it, was in the context of someone who was requesting healing.
That's
Not
what I'm
someone-
saying.
Mine was general.
Yes, and that's why I'm
His
saying.
was a general question.
Can you be healed? Yeah, Jesus could do anything. He
Anything.
could touch anybody and raise anybody.
No,
he
I
could do
guess,
that.
yes. Is
So,
there a
and I understood the context of the question
you're
of being
asking-
someone who was
Like Lazarus
requesting.
didn't
You just don't
ask
want
to
to say,
be
Shanice, I understand.
No, but
your
Lazarus
Listen,
didn't
if
ask
I said it, that should be worth a lot more than anybody else saying
It's
it.
way more, valuable.
Yeah, because it will never happen again.
But Sharika, I want to bring this around back to you, to the application to Sharika. So now that we've talked a bit and you've shared your thought on this story, what was the takeaway for you when you read it and then post this conversation on this story? Because I'm sure it tickled you for a reason. It caught your attention for a reason.
I'm definitely not risking jail at this point in my personal walk with God. Tempt not the Lord thy God. I'm not with that. It only touched me because I have a relationship to this woman. This woman and me have always been compared to each other. My mother goes back and forth between her and Job. So I was like, oh wow, I see her story, but she just risked it all. But there was no guarantee from her perspective. And I think a lot of people will read this story in hindsight and saying that if I request healing or if I put everything on the line, I will get it. She had no guarantee that she wasn't going to be the first to fail. All she knew was that he had a success rate, and he did not have to do it.
But did she risk everything?
Well, in a way, it's
She
kind
had
of like
nothing to lose.
But
She could have went to jail for being unclean
yeah,
and
like,
touching
but,
it.
like, the worst thing that could happen to her was now she's in jail.
so
And still bleeding.
And
I
still
can,
bleeding. Like,
but what I can say is when you're bleeding, right? And I can speak to this. When you're bleeding, I want to be as comfortable as possible. My freedom, the ability to sleep in my own bed, the ability to lay in a hot bath if I would like. You add jail to this, I'm suicidal. Whoa, things get real difficult all of a sudden. So I have a risk. I'm out in the open. I'm not comfortable. This is really draining. And I have put this out there to be like, well, let's see what happens. Because life gets real disgusting if you put me in a jail with this issue.
And now everybody knows.
Right, because I'm not necessarily, and that's nothing, like people think she might be leaking down her leg. No, I can control this. You don't have to see it under my large garment. It's not like they walk around with tight pants like us. No one really probably knew. So it's like now I'm
Now
exposed.
she's on
So it's
blast.
kind of like
But
the
that
altar
is-
call
but she
moment.
probably smelled
I
it,
put my
right?
hand
No,
up.
not necessarily. I ain't gotta smell
Not
like
necessarily?
no.
Not necessarily.
No, I don't, you don't have to.
I knew.
So let me pull the group in.
After
Nothing.
that time.
Nancy says, yes, Jesus' mission to the earth was to be obedient to the Father's instructions because sin came because of disobedience to instructions. Jesus must be an example to us. Monique says she was ceremonially unclean and could have been stoned to death for auction. The woman's act of faith was thinking, if I can just touch something that belongs to Jesus. That was her act of faith. That was
Wow.
her belief. That was her demonstrating her faith. That's a good point. Jesus didn't even try to tell her he was the Son of God. He told her that her faith had made her well. I guess her belief that he could do it. Unlike us today, when we do something nice for a non-believer, when they realize how nice we are, we then whip them with the Bible. Jesus here just witnessed about himself without Bible beating her. That's from SAS.
Interesting.
Lil, L-I-L, God allowed her suffering for such a time as that. All our trials will be our testimony and our ministry. Marcy, if the woman heard about Jesus, she would have heard that he is the Son of God, because his historical past, people heard his father say, "This is my son, I am well pleased." I will say that she would have believed something about him relating to God. I would agree with that statement. Not that she was necessarily the Son of God, but that God is working in him.
Okay.
Because at that time, they would not believe that it was just a medicine man or just some, it had to be something of God.
Spiritual.
Something that about God is in that dude that he can do it for me. At least that's what it
God
is. They may not understand fully what it is about God that's in him, but that there's something about
He
God.
has an extra power.
And you're saying that in order for them to go to him.
Yes.
In order for them to go to him, they would have to believe that there was something he has that relates to God.
Correct.
Okay.
Some extra, a little off.
But even she heard about him. Do you think her belief was in him as the Son of God? I think we pointed out that it may not necessarily have been that. Yes, Jesus did things no one had ever done before, supernatural. I'm not going to disagree, says SAS, but I'm not sure I fully agree, because what evidence do we have that her belief was in him as the Son of God, not just belief in him as an extraordinary healer? Either way, it was her faith in him as an extraordinary healer that made her whole.
Yeah.
Because if she's made whole by her belief in him, it then opens the door to believe
Who he is.
Yeah.
Sure.
Going forward.
Sure.
So I think he'll take that.
Right. I'll take it.
Yeah. I think also the way Jesus lived was also a living example of who he is to others outside of the miracles. People were aware of their various bias and hypocrisy, so Jesus' daily living was calling people out without even saying it directly. This pointing out that he, not like everyone else, something more supernatural. Today, Rain says, people get healed not because of their own faith, but the faith of those who love them. That is also the case of Jairus, the guy who was healed.
His daughter.
Because the guy who Jesus was going to heal when he was stopped by the woman.
Yes.
No, he wasn't going to heal the guy. He was going to heal
He
the
was
guy's
talking,
daughter.
right, that's what I mean. Yeah. Yes. So the father came to Jesus to heal his child, and he said, if you just say the word, will be healed. Same thing for your friend, the Syrophoenician woman. In the Bible, people got healed because of others. That is true. But there was still faith or belief by the others.
Persons, yeah. Like
Somebody got to believe it.
Somebody got to believe.
People brought.
We're
brought
talking
friends
about
to
in
Jesus
response
for
to
healing.
asking.
Oh, okay.
In response to asking.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'm just saying, you gotta be careful with general statements, Trump.
These guys. Cree has been echoing the sentiment. All right, they're all on the same page with us.
They're good now.
They're all on the same page with us. All right.
My second point, and this is a generalization in Micah. Right, Micah's whole story. I'm not sure I understood the whole thing. No, don't even go there. It's just the whole thing.
I loved it.
So we've been on this love thing for about. Well, I admitted to the
Love
water
is
for the
stalking you?
thirsty. It's stalking me. I admitted to the water for the thirsty in-person group that I don't love any of them. Based on the definition of love in the Bible. That's a lot, and I don't really give any of that to any of them.
Are you friends with them?
Yeah, Jared was sitting right
And you're
there.
not.
We're cool.
And you don't love them.
I said
you
that.
love them.
No.
She said that.
No.
She admitted that.
I admit that. I like
She
him a
owns
lot. I like him a lot. But the whole patient, kind, true, this is not that, I don't get frustrated, all that stuff, whatever. So, anyway, moving forward. Micah, in my opinion, is just, God was just pleading with these people to be like, come back to me, please. I love you. I took you from Egypt. I did. Am I supposed to be pleading with y'all like this? Because, yeah, that's another part of the love situation that I'm like, whoa, I thought I was getting close. But then I hit Micah and I was like, I'm not close at all. I don't know if I can plead for you like that, Jared, or Shallon, or Shonice, or Kendrick, or
I'm not
Nisha.
sure that's what's being asked of you.
That's what I said. That's what I'm saying. I want to make sure that that's not on my list of things to do on the
You're
love.
saying her or just people in general?
Us.
Good. As long as then I'm closer than I thought. Because if we enter into what God was doing with the children of Israel, from
2 Corinthians 5.
But here's the thing. No,
2
stay with
Corinthians
Randall
5.
first.
No, well, I'm gonna come back. 2 Corinthians 5. You
making sure.
read from verse 18. 18 to the end.
What you laughing at?
2 Corinthians 5, 18 to the end.
5.
All this is from God, who Christ reconciled us to Himself and gave us the ministry of reconciliation. That is, that in Christ God was reconciling the world to Himself, not counting their trespasses against them, and entrusting to us the message of reconciliation. Therefore, we are ambassadors of Christ, God making His appeal through us. We implore you on behalf of Christ, be reconciled to God. For our sake, He made Him to be sin who knew no sin, so that in Him we might become the righteousness of God.
You were going to say?
I was going to say, in terms of the whole love thing, when you read the whole thing of Micah, he would be like, bam, you're punished. And then be like, okay, did you get it? Did you understand? You know, do you realize that you're not doing the right thing, you're not on the right side, and it's not going to work out well for you if you keep going that way? Okay, now come back.
No, and I wasn't arguing that. I mean more so the fact that after He's even punished them,
Go ahead.
now that He's even punished them, He keeps going back to. It's not like they're coming back to Him and saying, "Hey, I'm sorry." No, He just punished them. And be like, "Do you? Are you okay? You understand why I did this?" But when my mother used to beat me, there's no returning back to me. She knows this is how I feel. That's her problem. Like she's like, that is Sharika's problem. When Sharika feel like talking to me again, she'll come and talk to me again, or when I need something from her. But God is like, I've punished you, and I want to talk to you about this punishment. I want to explain to you why you should come back to me, and I'm going to reconcile, and blah, blah, blah. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. And why-
That level of love.
And you're saying that's not you.
I'm saying that I'm a little farther along than I thought I was if I'm being held to that standard.
I don't think any of us loves as perfectly as God, because we're imperfect. But I think it's there for our example of what we should aspire to be and what we should try to do. But no, who's gonna marry a Gomer? Who's God gonna say?
The Lord knows who can handle
Right,
such
you
things.
will. You will.
Down for the cause.
He was like, she was hot. She was so hot. Everybody thought she was hot. Okay.
Yeah.
Then finish.
Do what you need to do. See?
Okay, sorry, you were
We're
making
not
a
the right
point.
group. We're not the right group.
You were making a
No,
point.
no, but that was all I was saying is it's there for. I don't think any of us loves. I mean, the relationship between a husband and wife is like the ultimate, because you represent Christ and the church. And you want to testify? Do you always love your wife the way Christ loves the church?
Yeah, why would you ask
Oh, you're
him?
married? Oh, I didn't see.
What? Yeah, I don't see clearly.
Okay, you know what I mean? We're all a work in progress.
Yeah, I don't.
No, I do not.
Say yes, husband.
I think Mike.
I'd like to. Does that help?
I think Micah points out something that, and the reason why we read these things is because it shows us, you know, an awesome example. I know that my son, as a 13-year-old, being disobedient, he gets a harsher consequence for certain things. Sometimes it's a natural consequence, and I have to just sit there and look at him and say, you know, I'm sorry you had to go through that, but didn't I tell you not to do that? You know, but even though he didn't do what I said, my love for him hasn't changed. It's just my sorrow for the fact that he had to go through those consequences, and that if he doesn't listen to what I say, he's going to go through even worse consequences as he gets older, because as you get older, people are not as patient with you. God was very patient with his people at certain points of their lives, and then completely, I mean, one person can do all these different things, and it's just like, go get her, go get her, go get her. Somebody else reaches out to touch the ark, and it's like, bam, you're dead. So depending on where you are, how much you know, and how much God holds you accountable for, because was it James? He was just like, some of you really shouldn't be teachers because you don't realize I'm going to hold you to a higher account than other people who are just sitting having discussions. You call yourself a teacher, you're calling yourself by my name. You're representing me.
Sure.
And your consequence for teaching people the wrong thing, because they're going to look at you as if I'm speaking through you. Your consequences are going to be so much more challenging. I don't know how to say that. So much more challenging, to the point where I was reading it, I was like, wait a minute. He's saying don't do it. He's saying, just be forewarned that some of you should not do it. Not, be careful. No, some of you should not, because you're not going to be able to take the consequences, because you are going to do your own thing.
Cree agrees with you.
Okay.
She says God's love is perfect. We are flawed because we're
Yes.
born in sin. She says we can get close, but our love will never be perfect. Nisi also agrees with you about the major miracle being that she survived for 12 years. You should come back more often. Marcy says our love is perfected by our belief in God.
Yes.
God is God is the source and focus of our belief. And SAS says, isn't the beauty of God how He loves? The fact that we can't explain it, can't describe it, and just stand in awe of it.
I'm not even necessarily awe of it.
Marcy goes on to say, by faith we believe God continues to work with us to get us to where He wants us to be. And Kimberly from upstairs said, every miracle healing performed by God had a significance to this work. Acknowledging her who touched me was to ensure that she would use this experience to share it with others, not allow it to be a secret healing. And Marcy agrees. I got Shalon, I got Kenrick, I got Sharika, I got Nisha, Anne, and I did not get you.
You didn't get me?
I didn't get you.
Oh,
You
for
shared on
my-
everybody else.
Oh, I shared on everyone
I did
else.
not
I was
get you.
very participatory. Right? Okay.
Very good.
Okay, so I enjoyed Micah, so we touched on Micah, and in terms of God going back and forth. You all know that James is like my boy, right? I enjoyed James, and I always do enjoy James.
That's Sharika's new favorite book as well.
After Esther,
Okay.
After Esther, James. See, yeah, James.
it actually might be a close.
How you like Esther, and Esther risk everything, and you say you're not risking anything?
Esther has vagina to give for this.
You said that on television.
So therefore,
Okay.
I'm probably like her.
Oh my God.
She did.
It's true though.
You disagree?
It's not true.
How is it not true? That's not even a think. That's a no.
Don't argue about it. She was a full package. She was She was obedient to how she should present herself. The way she.
That is part of the package.
She was a full package. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Guys don't
That's
give.
what I'm saying.
Guys don't
To
give
give out
holidays
off of
and gifts to everybody.
We're pretty.
I'm just saying. It was a full package. When she walked in, because she listened to the wisdom of somebody.
More
One of my boys was like,
She
I'm not even
listened.
Her teacher.
Her teacher, the unit, she listened, and then it just showed, and then her personality.
No.
Is that the name of it? Like, did she name it?
No, I agree. He told her how to act. If she was like, "Yo, I'm a,"
Oh my gosh! Do we realize what time it was?
Listen,
This
What the
is
guy was. First of all, the context doesn't
Oh,
matter. Because they were training them women for 12 years for one
He
night.
had, he had, exactly.
night.
But it's the way she walked
And
in.
it wasn't-
It was her personality.
I'm telling you that is
I'm not saying it was everything.
I'm not
it was
saying-
everything. It was
Yes,
everything.
no, I will go with that. It was everything.
When she walked in the room, when she
was
walked into the
everything.
room, it was like, oh, she's
walked so
ugly and she
wonderfully.
did that.
oh.
This blew me away.
No, but
it was
church
a whole
people only
thing.
they only think
a
it's
whole
everything
thing.
I think
except.
the other men were good too. He
She was good on the terrace. She was good on I'm just
Keep in mind the context.
Yo.
He was interviewing chicks at
He
night.
had a lot of coochie.
Yes,
Right. This is
exactly.
my story.
He had a lot of coochie.
Right.
It was something when she walked in. The eunuch taught her.
Yes, I
Because
agree.
this is another thing too about listening to wisdom, listen to how you decorum everything. It was a whole package.
But you talking about if
It was
it
a
was
whole
a woman
package.
she was going to interview for. She was going for a man.
No, that's not what I'm
telling
saying.
you, his
That's not what I'm
response.
saying.
I'm saying as a man,
I'm sorry,
his
people.
response the
I'm
next
sorry.
day. His
I'm sorry.
response the
We
next
always
day.
disagree.
The
We always disagree on
response the
this.
next day.
We always disagree
As a
on
man,
this. As
was
a
not
man,
because of her mind
It was
and
everything.
personality. I ain't getting up and saying, yo, you it. And I go and give Kenrick gifts and Sharika gifts. It's because he let a holiday for her mind. No man ain't doing that. A woman might. A man ain't doing
I
that.
didn't say mind. I said complete package.
I hear you. I
It's a-
said,
How do you know she's a
He
complete
made a
package
film.
in one night?
Because everyone else had the same.
No.
same
What?
she was a completer package. With
Let's go back to James.
Let's go back.
Let's go back to James because Esther is later in the year.
Right. The homie comes back around for the win.
Rain says, I can feel the passion on the topic of Esther.
That's the homie.
Yeah, but
Anyway.
to add to it, she was a virgin.
They were all virgins.
Yes, they
Yes,
were
that's
all
what made her
virgins.
special.
They were all virgins.
Yes.
That's what made her special.
You're not
You're
getting
making
it.
sense.
You're not getting it. You're not getting it.
You're not making sense.
I got it.
Because
Which
I
is
It's
understand.
almost
That's
like-
because you
it's almost
accepted.
like a
That's because you
gift.
accepted. You accepted that she was made slightly different.
You don't think she was?
This was a full presentation. When she walked past the women,
Do you really believe
even when she walked, yes,
just
they
that one
do.
thing?
And it's
Hold on.
it-
Keep in mind
Listen,
the
when she
context.
walked, listen.
It's the
Even when she walked
context.
past women, even when she walked past the other men, they were like, "Oh."
He wasn't inviting
There was-
women into his room
To have
dinner.
And
And
conversation.
No, but he had
Because-
hundreds of them to
Then
do
you
the
end up on
same
to watch TV.
thing.
It's not TV. You
So it was a whole pack. I'm not excluding.
No,
that.
I know.
I'm saying
I
it's
know.
the whole package.
We're saying that
But
that
you saying
extra
that's
oomph-
it. You understand?
No,
Yeah,
that's not-
that had to be it because
I agree with you that it was the entire package.
And then some.
that's all I need. That's all I need.
That's
that
it.
it was the entire
More
package.
complete.
Okay, so
Don't say anything else.
Well, I kind of like what he said about it too. Like, as church people, they love to shy away from that side of it as well. They like to say everything else about the package. They're spiritual, and
No,
they walked the
that's
brand,
not
and they
what
were
he said.
modest, but they never talk about that side of the town too. Like, that should be
Like,
equally as
that's
good
what-
as everything else.
Yes.
yes, and we agree. But I'm just saying, this is one of those cases where
was
because
her
we
She didn't share her.
we're trying to go against what everyone else does, ignore and
she was
say,
going
and
to
now
James.
that's all.
Distracted.
You said James and Esther.
Yes,
Yeah, she's
this
going to
is-
James.
This is
Back
what
to James.
see you see. You see?
Yeah, she's going to. You're going to James, right, Shanice?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
in. I'm in James.
Come out of my book. Go to James.
I'm in James. Okay. More or less, James is about how you treat other people and your responsibility to other people. And-
What? Sorry, I have to share this before. Marcy says Esther was special because she was obedient to God and God caused her to find favor with the
No
king.
mercy.
Chris says she appealed to his better nature. She was a 10 in his eyes. The whole package comes after a few more conversations, but not that first night. Continue, James.
The whole package came with.
Continue, James.
How you keep interrupting me?
But we don't want to
Get a
go back.
full
We don't
night.
want to
She
chase the
didn't get a
rabbits.
full night.
Let's.
Okay.
After Glow, we'll talk about Esther.
Yeah.
Okay.
James.
No, I want to hear about Jim.
Okay. So what I liked about the book of James was it was about interrelationship with other people too. It wasn't just, and I'm not saying our relationship with God is not important. That is the most important. But God is saying, you know what? You can't just say anything you want to people. You can't do anything you want to people and feel like you have a relationship with me and we're all good. That's not how it works. You have this neighbor here. How do you love them? Like you do yourself. If you have a relationship with me, you're going to love yourself properly. So, treat them properly. If you're going to speak properly. If you're going to speak, but you're not going to do nothing to help anybody, then be quiet, because you're not really doing anything. And so the interpersonal relationship that we get from James and all of the ins and outs, like it says on James 2:17, it says, so you see, James 2:17, so you see, it isn't enough just to have faith. Faith that doesn't show itself by good deeds is no faith at all. It is dead and useless. And sometimes we are comfortable like, yeah, I'm gonna pray for you, but it's like, I sent you specifically to help that person, to do something, to spend your time, your effort, your money, to actually be a star in that person's life, to speak and teach, and for them to understand a relationship with me better by getting to know you. Right. So that's the gist of it. And then it balances out by saying, you know what? There's some consequences. If you are prejudiced, if you act like you're being kind to everyone and you're loving people and you have great relationships, but I see past the fact that you're shady. The guy over there who I love, you tell him stand up, go stand up over there, and the guy who comes in because he look like he got money, you have him sit right here next to you. No, that doesn't work. I see past that, and there are consequences for that. So God was very balanced. He said, you know what? I'm going to take vengeance on you for being fake with other people.
Word. I have one.
Go ahead.
Good.
It came out of Jeremiah. Well, it came before Jeremiah. Yes. It's going to be quick because Sharika kind of tied it up nice and quick when I talked with her.
Check me out.
But
he said no, but
I tied it up. Usually Jared goes on and on and on about it.
She tied it up nice and neat.
I'm getting better at this one. Wait.
But
through God.
I guess maybe it was more reflective for me that I had to Jeremiah 1. Jeremiah 1. No, sorry, it's Jeremiah 2 from verse 13. I'm only lifting this one verse, because it's more of a summary, but throughout the whole chapter you can see the same idea being brought. So he says in Jeremiah 2 verse 13, for my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewn out cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. What stood out to me was the word forsaken, because my understanding of the word forsaken in English is, completely abandoning something.
My word says abandoned.
Or deserting something entirely, completely. But it's not my understanding that was what they were doing. It's my understanding that they were worshipping other gods in addition.
Sure.
They were still carrying out the sacrifices. They were still going to the temple. They still believed themselves to be the people of Jehovah, But God's words to them was, you've forsaken me. And I'm thinking, well, they're not really forsaking you. Why are you so extreme with it? And that's kind of where I kind of sat, because it made me then think, wow, does God see when I juggle between him and something else as me forsaking him? Does he see it in that all or nothing mindset? And what does that mean for the things that my Assyrians and my Egypts that I turn to instead of him, that I lean on instead of him, that I think would be the better things to help me instead of him? Is he seeing me as forsaking him? That's kind of where I was sitting with it.
That stood out to me to actually put a note in my Bible on that. For my people have committed two evils. They have forsaken me, the fountain of living waters, and hewn themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. I thought it was interesting how he likened himself to a fountain of water and then said that they chose something that was supposed to hold water as well. And what I wrote was, they've forsaken God as the source of everything that they need, and instead try to create their own source from broken cisterns. And then the message to me was, anything that we come up with as an alternative to God is broken at best. It will never be able to supply or satisfy. That's what I got from that verse.
And just like going back to what we said a lot earlier, You know, when we see someone sinning, we're just like, ooh, I hope they get it. Whenever it's done to us, we're like, man, like if your wife, you know, came home to you every day, but you know during the day she was with the guy with the cleft chin, you wouldn't be like, yo, is doing both.
She was with David?
Yeah, because what I said, it says
the ball guy.
Because what Jared said, but what Jared said was he's not really, you know, he didn't really just turn it. The people didn't really just completely turn their back. They were also with God, but they were also. This is the same thing. You wouldn't feel special if she was like, "Hey, I'm home here with you. What's the problem?"
Forsaken is such harsh language.
That's what it looks like. Forsaken is like, wait a minute, you acting like you're with me, but this during the day here, you come back here. You're saying, but she might say to you, "But I'm here, baby. I come home to you."
It's like God is saying, "It's all
that's only during the day. That's only during the day. You work during the day.
You're not even home, girl.
You're not even home, man. You get it? You get it? So that's what God is saying. Yeah. It's like you can't say to him, "Yo, but we still worshiping you. We still come up back to you, man."
It's
every
all
day,
or
every day.
God, like if you're not submitted in one area, He feels forsaken.
Yeah, but you would feel that way too, would you?
You may not use
What Vanessa? Okay.
I'm interested in your wrestle.
Man, I can feel it.
Do you think God ever felt forsaken with David?
No.
And he did a lot of stuff.
David didn't have any other thing that he
didn't
have any other thing that he submitted to or relied on besides the Lord.
Yeah, he didn't rely on anything else.
Yes, but he was still doing a ton of dirt.
Yes, which is very different. And in this context, with Jeremiah, and throughout what we read about the children of Israel, they weren't just doing stuff.
So that's why I was saying. So I asked that question because I contrasted. I wanted to so it's not even necessarily the dirt that you're doing. It's who you're like. It's your allegiance.
Right.
Yeah.
Your heart. Where's your heart?
Yeah.
Yes,
so
like the same thing. The same thing. Like Vanessa, his wife. It's one thing for her to annoy him with some of the things she's doing. That's not forsaking him by being with the guy with the cleft chin. You get it? Mm-hmm. But she annoyed him because she didn't do this right.
With common.
She said with common. Good choice.
That's a good choice.
Yes, good choice. Yeah,
you can't feel bad about that choice. Of course, you gonna say that.
I mean,
he's terrible.
Man.
Oh, okay,
what?
no,
What? You sort of like me about the strike?
God.
Focus, people. Focus. So there are certain things that are not right, that she may do, and you're like, for real, you did that. You know, I got in the car and you knew you had it all day, and you didn't put gas in it. Now I have to go put gas in it. That's inconsiderate. It's very different than you were riding around some guy. It's very different.
I think
and he ain't put gas in it.
I think with God, it's the whole idolatry thing.
Yes.
Like it really
yes.
it bothers him when
Yes.
we have other gods.
Yes.
When we have other things that we bow to and we worship.
Yes.
And I think it's so we have to guard ourselves against that every day because
Yes.
the heart is an idol factory. Like we can make an idol out of anything, even a desire.
Yes.
You know, like single people desire to be married. The desire to be married can become an idol. You know what I mean? So we have to be careful, and I think that's what this is. You've forsaken me as your ultimate source, and you feel like you're going to get water. I'm providing living water, and you feel like you're going to get water from a broken cistern.
That you
like
create.
what?
That you made.
So that's where the offense came in. I think
Yes.
it's the idolatry.
Yes.
But I was trying to, like Shalom does, do the self-application, because some of the language God is using, the things that He uses as illustrations, were troubling for me. When they were becoming attacked by foreign invading armies, they had alliances with Egypt and Syria. Now it makes sense logistically
No.
to count on these guys.
No.
I mean, just from a
Strategically,
it makes sense. But what God is saying is by trusting in them
yeah.
to protect you and not trusting in me.
And this is the children of Israel.
Yes.
That he did all those things for.
Yeah.
You have some nerve to be making alliance with
So,
someone else.
so actually,
Using the Vanessa example, it's like she goes and calls Common to change the light bulbs.
even
You
though
pay the mortgage?
And I pay any mortgage.
This not gonna work.
It's almost like that. I bypass him and I start to think about where in my life
everywhere,
am I cleaving to, relying on, or trusting in something else other than God.
so my thing is like, well,
Trust
whatever.
him.
I don't want to get into that.
But
Get into it.
No, I don't want to get into
Get
that.
into
No,
it.
I don't want to.
On the count of
even
three.
outside of the alliances, if you follow their story, you'll also see that the minute something didn't work out the way it was supposed to, they were then, let's go make the calf. Let's go get the Asherah poles or whatever the case is. So they were willing to put their eggs in other baskets outside of just alliances to go fight. So even in that spirit, he's like, well, what is going on here? How much do I have to do for you to not be
Forgive us,
ready to go
Lord.
to all these other places?
So okay, I woke up. So when do best practices interfere with trusting in God? And I'm saying like for our church, we wanted to build a church. We needed to get financing, right? So, as opposed to trusting in God and saying, Lord, you've brought us this far, you'll give us the money, and we're just going to wait until you do it.
We got a loan.
Where does it go? Because it goes back to what he was saying. So it made sense strategically to do Syria and like it to have partners in case something happens. But
Oh, sorry.
I'm not rude like that.
that's not what. Really?
I'm working on my love.
Oh my gosh. But at the end of the day, God's saying, no, you trust in me. I'm saying just in life in general, work, kids, wife, all that kind of stuff. Buying a car, buying a house,
Sharik was
doing
before
a deal,
me.
like whatever.
And I'm after you. So Sharika, you then me.
When do you stop trusting
go
in
ahead,
God
Sharika.
and you're saying, you know what, I need to
Are
get
you,
my...
are you asking him? Are you answering him?
He's not finished his question.
Yeah, no, it's not. I'm gonna. First of all,
He's just repeating the
my
same
voice
thing different
hasn't
ways.
even increased to even give you the question feel.
Yeah, he hasn't done
So
the thing
yeah,
yet.
like so. He
He did ask a question. He just wants to. Okay, go ahead. Ask the question, please, sir.
the word, like multiple words you have. Let me say this. So all I'm saying is, when does it stop? When do not even stop? When do we know, or when do we have an idea that we shouldn't rely on these things that are very common to us, right? And we should totally 100% wait for God to do A, B, C, and D.
Good question.
I was going to say that I don't believe that the alliance was the problem. I can join forces with anyone as long as I believe that through God my forces make sense. It's kind of like with Joshua when in Jericho, God's going to make this happen, and then when he chose not to counsel to God, things went wrong, although he had friends. So even if you say, okay, well, we wanted to get a loan, we should have waited to collect the money. Or we prayed that we get approved for the loan. It's a matter of realizing that all of my yeses or all of my nos are coming from one source versus my yeses come from this source and my nos could come from that source. It's the one source mentality that I believe that God had a problem with, which is why David is in a way favored. Because even though he was doing the dumb stuff, his complaints, his movements always went back to the one source.
Yes.
God!
Whining.
Only.
Yes. It never was anyone else.
Yeah,
it was,
sure.
I'm still going to do my dirt.
That's good.
So, if you consider another source, therein lies the problem.
That's good.
Yes,
That's a good
I
point.
completely agree. And just to add to that, because now mine's not as long, because I completely agree with that one.
But as long
God
as you
makes
say
it
that whole explanation.
God makes it clear beforehand. It's not like, okay, now you did all that, now I'm set with you because you made alliance. If he's going to make it clear to you, this is what I want you to do. This is what I want you to do. For people who they're confused and he's letting you work it out, it's very different. It's very different expectations, just like we saw in Micah, where he's like, you're saying that I'm telling you these things. You're saying that you're speaking my words, so you're being held accountable for them. God makes it clear beforehand to you what he expects of you. And that's where he holds you fully accountable for being disobedient.
I was just gonna say, in reference to the example that you gave with the church doing financing or whatever, the church is not. It's where you kind of what everybody is saying, where your trust is. Do I trust God to do this, or am I going to find my own way to do it because I don't trust and believe that He can do it? And He may do it through the banks, because I'm sure the church still prays before they go out and do financing or whatever. I don't believe, but you're not looking at it from the perspective of, I'm going to do this because God, I don't think you can do it. So let me go figure it out my own self, because the Bible says some trust in chariots, some in horses. There are other things that you can actually trust
So that's
in.
my fault. That's actually a bad example. It's like, screw the church. So, not in general, but just like, not
church
example. So, my thing is this. I've been wrestling with this for a few weeks now, because I realize in my life there are a lot of decisions that I'm not in consultation on, because they're just decisions, right? Like,
Example.
like, pick one. Like, it's
Chicken or beef and
work. Do we do this deal? Home. Does Addison play soccer or what? Like, just decisions. Like, whatever. There's no get on my knees and pray and consult
And
with
that's
those
good.
with those types of decisions.
Yeah, and those are good, because then it's like, how some people feel trapped with God, like I can't have anything I want. There are a lot of things where God said, "What do you want? How do you want the outcome?
That's,
What's your
that's
objective?"
fine. But I'm saying, like, so that's, yes, I hear you. But one of the things that we hear and that's taught, and to a certain extent we read, like, is we constantly have to be in communication with God about the things that we're doing. I'm saying that I'm not even communicating. I communicate with God on, like, big things. Like, and it happens. Like, it's amazing. Like, it's great. And so we were doing a deal, and, the deal was done. We're selling condos. We're doing all this kind of stuff, but we needed, like, an approval. And, like, the approval wasn't getting done. Like, it just wasn't getting done. And I had called, and people had called, and we were, like, trying to pull strings, And I literally, like, that morning was like, Lord, just, I don't know, like, whatever. There's nothing else I can do. Just do it. And then, like, I called the guy, and he was like, yeah, you're probably, like, 3 or 4 weeks from us even getting to this process. And then, like, 2 hours later, I get an email. It was like, you're done.
Do you think it would have come through, but if you had gone to Him first? Do you think it would have taken that long?
So once again, that's what I'm saying. So, like, all these things, like, it wasn't my first inclination to go to Him because it's a deal.
I mean, I think I'm going to give an application as well, but if you look at historically, like, the children of Israel, at every turn, like, even the walls of Jericho and all of that stuff, it had the same process. It's, let's go to God, see what He says, or we'll talk to Him. We say, hey, God, we got to make this move. What are you saying to us, right? He has a specific path. It didn't always make sense at that specific time. They said either we're going to depend on the way we know it can be done, or we're going to go that path. And if we choose to go that path, we see how it worked out. So I'll give you a specific example for me. I was believing God for something. To me, it's not that big, right? I was looking for, like, an extra truck, right? Winter is coming up. My car doesn't do well.
First world problems.
Right. So, to me, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, it wouldn't have been something that I would have been like, hey, God, this is the plan. This is what I need to get done, right? But this time I decided, okay, let me talk to... I know what I can do on my own. I'm pretty good at sniffing this stuff out, but I'm going to ask, hey, God, this is my plan. And the way me and Him work is I'm going to go at this thing full force. So if you don't want me to go this route, please stop me. And literally... everything I attempted that wasn't meant to be was thwarted some way. Something didn't work out with it, right? But as I continued talking to him, like, okay, I'm flustered because that didn't work out, but me and you have this deal. If it's not for me, you're gonna stop it, right? Literally,
You won't stop.
that's the relationship between.
I'm going off this cliff.
But that's the relationship between me and him.
No, I got
But
you.
watch
That
this.
has worked for you.
Right,
Yeah.
but watch this. It's not he stopped it as in, oh my gosh, this absolutely can't work. It's like I saw a little something there. I could have still went this path, but that was you telling me not to do
Sure.
it. And each one of those times that happened until I got the exact thing that I was looking for, but it was only because each time we were having that conversation and each time he was saying, you see that little thing right there? Don't do it. Until finally, I didn't hear none of that. No, don't do it. Literally, but it had to follow that same process, big or small. It's let me talk to him first about it, listen to what he has to say, and then move on that path. And I think that makes a difference.
Sure.
I'm trying love. She said she wanted to talk real quick.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, for me personally, and this may be too churchy, but this is literally my life. So the Bible says, Proverbs 3:5-6, right? In all your ways acknowledge him and he shall direct your path. So what I have learned to do, and I do that in simple things, even in what I'm going to wear sometimes. Churchy, I know, but I do. And let me tell you why I do that. It's almost like a part of it, yes, is me honoring what he said in his word. And we have relationship. I deal with God in the same way. I whine like David. Which relationship? I tell him everything. I talk, ask questions, yell sometimes.
So-
But my point is this. It's also my, what's the word? Come on. I'm not that old. Warranty. Right? So when I acknowledge him first and it don't work out, I'm like, well, I did my part. So you have to fix it. And this is literally how I talk to him. I acknowledged you in this.
That's David. That's what he did.
I acknowledged you in this, right? So you now have to direct my path because that's what you said. I have trusted you with all my heart. I did not lean to my own understanding or what I thought made sense. I acknowledged you in all my ways.
Studs
and I'm
or bangles?
expecting you to direct my path. Like that's how I look. And then he always comes through
Okay.
in the simplest things.
I was gonna say it's comparative to your relationships. Like when certain things happen to me, there's certain people I go to, and there are other things that happen, I go to other people. But I think that's just built on the relationship that you build, and I think that's what God is hoping, that we cool enough that you can kind of hit me up first. I may not respond, like for example, Gossip Thursdays with Jared. He's gonna respond to whatever I have to say. It's not real gossip because it's about my life. It's really what I've been holding on to all week.
What's that?
Whatever Gossip Thursdays is whatever I've been holding on to.
That's their time.
That's our time.
Oh.
So I'm just clarifying that we're not really gossiping.
Right.
It's more what's happening with
Sharika.
or Jared or the extensions of us. So anyway, I say that to say though, God is like, yo, where's my Gossip Thursdays, or where's my gossip mornings? And in that, like you're saying, you might be crazy sitting in the car talking to God, but he's kind of like, that's really, I want us to vibe. It's not that serious whether she goes to football or soccer or baseball. It really ain't that serious. I just want to hear about it though.
Well, it could be, because if she goes to soccer instead of baseball, she died in a car accident.
Well,
Like,
what I'm saying is though, if you're saying, for example, God, I'm thinking about signing Addison up for softball real quick. I think she likes softball, and you saw me like, nah, she should do soccer. What?
But
All
God's
right,
response may even be, I don't care, but thanks for telling me.
Yes, I'm
Like,
saying
that made me
it's just
feel
a
like,
matter
yeah.
of inclusion.
Yeah,
And it
yeah.
seems like what we read in the Old Testament, his problem was the lack of inclusion, the lack of the relationship. Yo, y'all keep doing all this stuff. I got angels that do this all day, so this is a waste of my time. Include me in your life.
Yeah. That's a good point. Good job. Getting that.
The next thing I know, I can't
There's
talk.
there's another aspect that comes out of this verse, and then I'm going to use this to try and close up. And, Nisha brought it out. They hewed out for themselves cisterns, broken cisterns that can hold no water. They relied on something else. It wasn't just that they didn't have the conversation and they actually trusted in and relied on something else, took their direction from something or someone else. You know, some of us, you know, we follow gurus, people we think know the best way to get us to this destination, and we're not in the position where we're submitted to where God wants to take us. We want to go there, and we're going to follow anything and everything that will get us there, including God. If God's going to help, I'm going to follow him. But if he doesn't, this other guy can help me.
It's the destination, not necessarily,
And I think that's part of where he is. He wants us to be submitted to him, so that if he says, I know you really want to go there, but like Jeremiah, I know you grew up and were trained to be a priest, and your father was a priest, but I need you to go and talk to those people. I need you to start this ministry that will seem like it will fail to everybody, because you'll go and preach them, they won't hear you, and you'll watch them go into exile. But you go do it anyway. And when he says, when I say, yeah, okay, because you asked, that's that reliance.
Yes.
Or when it starts to go bad and they're really not hearing you, and you're 10 years in and everybody watching you like a crazy person, and your family telling you to shut up, and you're like, yo, dude, I ain't doing this no more. You know, that's the reliance and the trust in. When he says, pick up the phone, call, and he's like, there's a better way to do it. There must be a better way. You know, just, I'm going to use the blister.
Leave my blister alone.
There must be a better way to heal this sore that I have on my foot than this blister that's there. And I'm going to find the better way. It's to me, that's what I was seeing. They found other things to rely on. I know I probably should pray and ask him and just believe, but this guy here has a big army with big guns. They can protect me. You know, why should I just trust in these angels that I can't see? I'm not even sure if they're here. Let's put security cameras up and get the dogs and get the guard, and because I trust those things to protect me, not you. Not that there aren't instances where you may need those things. That's not what I'm saying.
Sure.
But my emphasis is my security is in these things. My trust is in these things. And to me, that's where I was seeing. And when I start to have these other things that I trust in, or when I try to get to the destination and God is just one of the ways that I can get there, that's when I start to forsake him.
He wants to be the way, not a way.
That's right.
Yeah. That's it.
Right.
And that's where I kind of came out of it. And Sharika said,
Yes.
in essence, it's all or nothing with him. And if there is a something else, then you might as well have been forsaking him. And it's adjusting my perspective towards that mindset that I was wrestling with this week. That was my thought. We're going to do takeaways, but I'm going to add the comments from the room right quick. Let's go. A divided heart means God is not the only focus, is what Marcy says. Rain says, we live in a world of compromise and middle ground, which is why it's hard to understand. We don't get the instantaneous punishments, or a generation is one who can get lost in compromise. The idea of let's make me happy and you happy, it's selfish, and at the end of the day, what we want. We are too busy thinking about appeasing God versus being obedient. Meaning we will do some of what God says in an effort to appease, and some of what we want. Good point. In the end, it is us forsaking, giving him the kind of love. In the end, it is us forsaking him, the kind of love he wants from us. Okay. Jesus is our example. He said, I speak what my Father tells me, and I do what my Father tells me to do. Basically thinking that we know better than God. Wow. I feel as though we think our problems are too big and we panic. When we try to find it on our own, we then try to find it on our own until all else fails. Then we decide to include God, which is essentially what I see in these stories. You know, they try to do it on their own, and then when I think he even said that in one of these, and then he laughed at them. Go find your gods. Yeah, he did say that in one of these things. Yeah. Anyway, takeaways. We talked about a lot. we covered a lot. We covered Micah, we covered Mark, we covered Jeremiah, we covered James, we covered the Psalms. What's one thing you're going home with? Out of all the things we talked about, it doesn't necessarily have to be your thing. It might be one thing that Kenrick said that stood to you, or Ashalon said, or somebody said in the chat room.
Mine's what Sharika said at the last thing, because I've been fighting with this for like a few weeks. It was include. That's it.
We'll come back this way then. Sharika.
So I was hoping that I was going to get it out with, oh, God's love is perfect and I'm not going to get there. And as I sat there, he was like, no, you're not getting it out. So I'm going to carry on with my love journey. This week has been a hard, rough, gross love week.
Gross.
Yeah, it's a gross love week. I feel as if I'm running into a lot of people in my life who are requiring me to like them more than I already
I don't
do.
need you to like me.
I don't like you much, but we cool though.
Yeah.
But I'm saying as
Even
in
you
God
out.
telling me to level up, and I agree His love is perfect, but He's basically saying yours ain't close, so keep going. At least as I was sitting here, so I didn't get out of that.
Nisha Ann.
I think going back to the story of the woman with the issue of blood, just thinking again to the idea that she was afraid because she touched him and she was going to transfer her pollution. Just thinking of the fact that Jesus is strong enough to take our pollution and not be polluted, so we can bring our stuff to him because he's God enough to handle it. He won't get contaminated by my stuff, so I don't have to be afraid to touch him, even with dirty hands.
Shanice.
Okay, my takeaway, and it's dual. It's from James when it's saying, that your faith is not enough. Do what you say. Back up what you say, what you do, and that coupled with the whole package. Be the whole package. We got off base a little bit here with the whole Esther thing, but
Haters.
my takeaway is God calls us to be the whole package, and when we are the whole package, we can drop some things on people anyway.
Boom.
I can't even.
That was good.
I can't
Thank
even.
you.
That was good.
Thank you.
Let it go, guys.
I'm so
Let it go.
I think towards the end of the conversation, kind of to like what he was saying. I think we tend to focus on the big things where it comes to faith, and we're like, oh, this is so big, God, I need help on this. And I think I'm at the place where the medium stuff, I kind of talked to him on that too. But maybe it's even smaller than that. Maybe it really is, what do I wear today, God? What socks do I put on? Like, should I walk this way or should I walk that way? Because I think that kind of forces more talk with him throughout the day, one. And two, I don't know what I'm going to get out of it because I've never gotten that finite.
Sure.
So maybe that's something I need to try and apply and see how it works out.
Let us know how it works out.
So there were two perspectives that were shared, and only one is coming to mind. But I think the second one is really the one that I want to take away. So maybe Kenrick, you can help me remember. Nisha Ann was sharing, the miracle of the 12 years, But there was another story that was shared, and we both sat and went, wow, we never thought of it that way. Do you remember what it was?
It
With Shalon and the synagogue when we were on that.
Yeah,
Right.
It was the
Demons.
demon.
Right. I know Mark is a little demon obsessed. Mark, he was excited about the demons, and so it pervaded his story. But that was my takeaway. Not that demons are my takeaway, but
Hope not.
when Jesus comes into our environment, he changes it.
Yes, amen.
And if Jesus isn't in an environment, demons can
Yeah.
flourish.
Right.
Yes,
Wow.
without us even realizing.
And yes, without us and we won't realize it till he comes into the environment. And that was my takeaway. That I need to make sure Jesus is all up in all my environments, so he can expose
That's it.
the demons lurking around that been hanging out.
Yes.
That's very true.
That was mine.
Amen. Amen.
All right. That's all we have for tonight. We're a little bit over time, but thank you for joining the conversation. Thank you for all the participation in the room. Thank you for tuning in. We will be back again on the first Friday in October. One of my co-workers came up to me and was asking me about something I was doing at work, and I ended up mentioning this to him, and he said he would tune in, and then I was like, something said, you should ask him if you wanna, because he lives in Bowie. I don't know if he's watching tonight or not, but I told him I would try and bring him in October, and I don't really, he works in one of the sites that I visit. I don't really know him like that, but I just thought it would be good.
I think it would be good.
So invite him. If he comes,
I'm saying that to say, if there's anybody that you know would benefit from being a part of this, as you encounter them in your life, please share with them. And by this, I don't just mean our online environment and these physical chairs, but the experience of being in the Word on a daily basis, in such a way that they're just exploring to begin, not to be taught anything, not to make any decision, but just to explore it and walk alongside them and walk with them. And that's my encouragement. Let's pray. Let's pray and let's go home. Kendrick, would you pray for us to close?
Man, I pray a lot. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the opportunity to come before you. We thank you for each person here. Thank you for the conversation that we were able to have. Thank you for moments where we've learned. Thank you for moments where we question. But ultimately, my prayer is that over the last couple hours, we have drawn closer to you. Whether it's an aha moment or a desire to kind of know a little bit more about something that may be troubling us. We pray for each person that was watching, each person that intended to watch and didn't. We ask you to please bless us as we go home and guide our steps. For me, please help me to include you in more of my life, and bring us back here on the first Friday of October, so we can discuss a little bit more. We ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. If you're not actively reading along with us and just join the conversation, the conversation makes more sense when you're reading along. So I invite you to download a copy of the plan, and on a daily basis spend time in your Word. If you don't use our plan, get one. Just spend time with them. Sharika will tell you, and Kenrick will. Shani's been doing it, but Sharika and Kenrick will tell you that once you start reading the thing cover to cover, it changes the way you relate to everything faith-based. And some of it you can't even begin to explain till you've gotten through it a couple times. The things that you just can't talk about, the things that you just can't reference or explain until you've done it. So if you really want that your relationship with God grows, if you really want to know what He really is looking for from you, you really need to get this and you get through this all the way through it, at least once, and then the whole experience opens and changes in ways that just going to a doctrinal Bible study will not facilitate. So that's my encouragement. With that said,
Night.
my phone. My phone died.
The last takeaway from your chat.
Sharika, can you follow up with the chat room?
1 second. Yep, I got it.
Phone's
It's
dead.
loading. Oops. Takeaway, Sharika's word, just include God in all things, little and big. We don't like when those who say they are in a meaningful relationship with us. We don't like when those who say they're in a meaningful relationship with us only come to us when when they have problems, and not when their happy stuff happens. So, good night, all. Enjoy the
Nice.
And
Nice.
Sorry. We have two other forums. We have an in-person forum for people who live in the DMV every first, second, and fourth Saturday at a church in Bowie, a Restoration Prayer Center. It's an open invitation to join us every first, second, and fourth Saturday at 5, Restoration Prayer Center in Bowie, if you live in the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And we have a forum, a Facebook group. We also have a page, but join the group if you'd like to, where you can share your insights. We can carry on the conversation between sessions, because it's like 2 weeks between, and there's so much to cover. I know Nisha Ann came with 2 points. I think Sharika shared her 2. I know Charlotte had another one. I had 3 more. And these forums won't allow us to talk about it, but at least in those forums we could share that. Lorraine, I saw your question. I hope to get to it tonight.
Yes.
But we will definitely, if we don't get to it online this week, we will save it for when the elder comes back and try to deal with it.
That was the food
What was the
one.
question?
I'm on it, Lorraine.
She was asking about the statement in Mark that God declared all foods clean.
Yeah.
And she was looking for clarity on that. But I'm just saying we didn't ignore it. We didn't forget you. We're just going to defer it to when the elder comes back, because I know he would want to be a part of that conversation. So we'll get back to it.
Wear colors tomorrow.
Yeah.
Massive. All right. That's what I got. Start.
Till the next time.
Take care of yourself.
Drink up.
Drink
And
up.
each other.
Yo.
First thing that I do when I'm waking up is everlasting life to all who decide to drink it
You're
up.
like water when I'm thirsty. Dream